The P.Diddy situation has gone from bad, well, I mean really bad, to a hell of a lot worse. And it's completely taken over mainstream media, it's completely taken over the news, it's taken over more or less everything. Everybody is talking about it. The memes are flying out left, right and centre about it. You know, speculation about what other celebrities were involved is starting to crop up. It's getting really ropey. But today we are going to be taking a look at the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel, because they have just done a debate about it, and you know, the caption is "Going Down for Life, Piers Morgan discusses the downfall of Diddy." And of course, you know, love him or hate him, Piers Morgan, there's no denying that the debates that he puts on are usually pretty well received. So let's take a look at it today. Let's see what happens, and let's see if we agree, disagree, and everything else.
Just 1 year ago, Sean Diddy Combs, one of the most successful rappers and producers in music history, was on top of the world. The VMAs honoured him as a global icon.
Amen.
The frequency is up. We're having a club love party. That's like a special private party that I throw, but you're invited. You're invited, club.
I don't know if you want to be invited to a Diddy party. Obviously, back then, they didn't know. But now, you don't want to be invited to one of these parties.
Love, it's all R&B all night. All the things that I would play in my vibration, my frequency, because my frequency is different.
Well, the party's over for Diddy Combs. That global icon has now become a global pariah. Last week, Damian Williams, a US district attorney in New York, stepped in front of a microphone and told a shocked world this.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment.
Oh, God.
Charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
Oh, God. Yeah, you can see that, I mean, it is so messy. It is so messy. Lady Tammy said, I definitely do not want to be invited to a Diddy party. No, me neither. I mean, like, that's just... Oh, man. Back then, if you were invited to a Diddy party, that was it. But I read an article today that said that some of these, like, you know, things that went on at the parties went on for days, right? And they would be so exhausted for Diddy's pleasure, right? They would be so exhausted by the end that they'd have to go on like an IV drip to basically pump out the drugs and pump out, like, just to kind of rehydrate them because of how crazy it got. Hey, Rachel, how you doing? This is only going to get worse. Yeah, it is only going to get worse. It's just going from, I mean, bad to worse doesn't even cover this. There's not words in the dictionary that cover this. I was wondering if you were going to do something on Diddy. Yeah, I've got a video coming out after this live stream's done. I thought, you know, take a break from the whole Fiona Harvey fiasco. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Unfucking believable. In other words, just another day in the celebrity compound, literally. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Hello, Savannah. How are ya? Glass Future and Broken Dreams. Oh, that's a really sad name. Oh.
Well, Diddy is now awaiting trial at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He was denied bail. According to some reports, he's refusing food and could even be on suicide watch. The case threatens to engulf the VIP world with fevered speculation about sordid tapes featuring celebrities and even politicians. So who knew what?
Well, this is the thing, right? So Savannah Miller, the internet's gone crazy for this. It has, because everyone wants to know, first of all, who else was involved. They want to know... like, what actually took place. Obviously, there's the victims in all of this, the people that were, you know, victimized by all of this. It's really bad.
What and when? How far could this go? Is this the music version of the Epstein scandal? And why was Diddy protected for so long by so many people? A special edition appears more.
In my opinion, money, influence, power. That's why he was protected. Diddy, from what I've heard, had the ability to make or break careers from the get-go. If you did what Diddy said, you got yourself a career. If you didn't, you can kiss that career goodbye, and you can go and, it will literally flush you down the toilet.
Organised Censored, looking into a scandal that is rocking the...
Rachel, I'm fully expecting Jay-Z to get pulled in. Right, so I saw something on, I think it was the BBC earlier today, that said that Jay-Z has just hired a lawyer. Obviously, he wouldn't hire a lawyer unless there was obviously something brewing. But he's also hired a lawyer for divorce. Now, obviously, right now, he's married to Beyonce, who, if this comes out about all of this stuff and Jay-Z was in some way related or involved, Beyonce's going to want to remove herself as much as possible from this. I have no doubt that she's probably aware if he is involved. That's huge speculation at this point. But if he is involved, I have no doubt that she's aware. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that makes you just as part of the problem. Because obviously I know you can't say anything, but Beyonce's got such a cult following right now that she could have come out and said something and her reputation would have probably elevated off the back of it.
The world of show business and way beyond. Here to unpack the fall of a global icon from the Criminal Lawyer Reacts YouTube channel, Bruce Rivers, the editor of Hollywood Unlocked, and a man who partied with Diddy, Jason Lee.
Oh, wow.
PBD's podcast, Angry Patriot, Vinny Oshana. And here in the studio, Uncensored contributor, Esther Kraku. Well, thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it very much. Bruce Rivers, let me start with you because you've been getting great traction with your YouTube channel by exploring every part of this scandal. It really does feel that it's getting bigger and bigger and is right up there with Epstein, with Weinstein, with these other huge scandals we've seen. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think he's going to go to the prison for the rest of his natural life. The federal guidelines are going to be astronomical. There's so much that they've gotten in the search warrant from Miami and LA, and he's really looking at sex trafficking with a lot of aggravating factors.
I'm just looking at the chat here. Rachel said, likewise, I think J-Lo knows more about potentially, and that's potentially why she and Ben ended. Oh my God. This is the thing. The amount of celebrities that have kind of, on their Twitters especially, just deleted all of their posts is quite alarming, especially after Diddy was arrested. So, and, a lot of people obviously draw attention to that and they're like, does that mean that you're involved? And then the speculation and the rumor mill kicks up again about all of these people. There were a few rumors a few years ago about Beyonce distancing herself from Jay-Z for these reasons. I did hear that, but like I say earlier, that in case anyone's just joined in the chat, apparently, allegedly, Jay-Z's just hired a lawyer and a divorce lawyer. So make of that what you will, but Pink me surprised for deleting everything. Yeah, that's it. Pink surprised me. Did Pink delete everything as well? Oh. Usher, yes, it was Usher. Usher deleted everything. I saw that. I didn't know about Pink though. I think Beyonce is definitely in this mess since it's happening in the Grammy a few years ago. Yeah, that's true. And there was that whole thing with Beyonce and the fake baby bump on that. Was it like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, or Ellen DeGeneres? She went on with a fake baby bump that like collapsed when she bent over, and there was this whole thing about Jay-Z having it was a child with a mistress. That's just alleged. But that's obviously what has been believed. So there's just so much, like, the celebrity world, man, it's just such a mess. I would never want to get involved with Hollywood. He defo has dirt on people. Diddy's got dirt on everyone. I'm like, anyone who ever went to his party, like, he's got evidence on those people, so they are just sworn to secrecy.
Which is the most serious for him?
The abuse, the RICO encompasses all the other statutes. So it's the sex trafficking, and then all the other enhancements with that. So guidelines, he's probably looking at it in excess of 300 months. Those are just the guidelines.
I mean, I saw that he, through his lawyers, they put a bail package proposal that included a $50 million bond co-signed by Combs, his mother, and other family members.
Wow.
It was to include home detention, surrender of his passport, weekly drug tests, a visitor log that would be submitted to pretrial services each night. But that was rejected. I mean, that in itself said to me just how serious the trouble is for...
Also, the fact that he was denied on, I think, 3 accounts, a $50 million bail. If you get denied bail at such an extortionate price of $50 million, which is, you know, for someone like Diddy, probably a drop in the ocean, but ultimately that's a lot of money. You know you're in deep shit when that kind of money is refused for bail. Like, it's really crazy. I also heard Ashton Kutcher's marriage might be on the brink too. This is where a cull of Hollywood is going to begin, in my opinion. I can see it happening. I can see it brewing. Like, people are going to look at this situation. They might potentially see who was involved with this, and it's going to be like the whole Epstein's Island list. When, you know, at the start, I think it was at the start of the year, that the documents came out of court of who, you know, involved with Epstein's Island. It was like a flight log. You know, there was Stephen Hawking. I think Tom Hanks was on there, and everyone that kind of visited Epstein's Island. And those people have kind of been, like, you know, shunned from Hollywood. I think that's where we're gonna. I think that's where we're gonna end up.
Diddy Combs.
Well, you have a situation where this is a presumptive detention situation. In other words, the defense has to prove, you know, rebut the presumption. And while this is all going on, we have witness tampering. We've got potential bribes of witnesses, and then we also have possession of drugs and ammunition and firearms that are obliterated serial numbers. And then he was on his plane trying to go somewhere earlier in the year. So we have a situation where there's a risk of flight and definitely a danger to the public and a potential obstruction of justice.
Let me turn to Esther on this, because Diddy, you know, I met Diddy a few years ago at a party where he was the absolute cock of the walk. This guy was one of the biggest stars in the world, feted by everyone in the room that night, feted by the paparazzi when he came out. It looked like he was as big as it could get. If it's right, if Bruce is right, he's going to prison for the rest of his life. This is one of the biggest downfalls I can remember in entertainment.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm never satisfied with just one person going down. It's like the whole Epstein thing. We don't actually know anyone who was associated with Epstein, who went to his nonce island, who really got involved in the criminal activity. And I think to be P. Diddy, to do the things that he's being accused of, you have to have a whole team around you.
Diddy did it. For sure he did. The judge has concerns that Diddy will go into hiding in a country with no extradition laws. This is the thing, because when his homes got raided in, was it Miami and LA at the start of this year, when all of this kicked off, obviously he, I know he was like due to go on a family holiday to wherever it was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, oddly convenient that holiday happened around the same time as there's these raids taking place, and these things being found. So, you know, he's a flight risk for sure. He would definitely flee if bailed. Without a doubt, he would flee. He'd go somewhere, like Rachel says, with no extradition laws, and he would just live his life, right? And that's just where he'd set up for the rest of his life. And if he ever left, obviously, he'd be very restricted and a very, you know, you'd spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. But at the same time, unless they have frozen his assets, he's too big of a flight risk, 100%. Imagine being his kids. I know. Imagine. I mean, it's horrific to think that... what's even more horrific is to think that he got away with this for so long. Like, he was at this for a while. And, you know, he had the ability to make and break careers if someone just didn't bend to his will. even then, people would sort it for him. Yeah, without a doubt, they would just look after him.
Yeah.
It's an infrastructure, basically. And I just really despise the fact that he's probably going to be the only one that's going to be taken down. He didn't get that powerful just by being by himself. He had the support of politicians, of other wealthy benefactors,
there is a
of
suggestion.
so many people in the industry.
Right, but there is
Why is he only taking the...
Well, there is a suggestion that he may start talking to the feds and do some kind of deal. Now,
I mean, that's a good thing, of course, because we can weed out all the bad eggs. But at the same time, how can he cut a deal? Like, he doesn't deserve to cut a deal. He should just fess up, but not get the deal. I know that's not how it works. He would never talk and all the rest of it. But at the same time, the gig's up. The gig's up. Like, he's done... What he's done is done. He's just going to have to move on. He's just going to have to accept it. And if I was in his position, which... You know, I would never find myself in that kind of a position because I would like to think I'm not a wrong'un. I would 100% just talk. I've got nothing to lose. Just talk.
Epstein never got the chance to do that or to take that kind of deal, even if he was offered it, because he died, right? He apparently committed suicide. Yeah. Speculation has run riot ever since that somebody got to him. But
I reckon, again, I know I keep pausing it, and I'm sorry. If Diddy was to have a bail and he was to flee, there would he'd be Epstein Mark II. Like, he would allegedly kill himself or off himself, and you know, he would and then there would be speculation of, well, did he or didn't he? Because ultimately that's where these kind of situations lie. He's got so much money and influence that he can disappear. He's got the power, he's got the connections to just disappear. Anyway, that's my 50 pence worth.
That appeared to be the fact that he took his life. But that seemed to silence everything and stop the process moving to other people.
Yeah.
But here, if Diddy was to suddenly start going after everyone and naming people, and there are tapes, as many people believe, depicting a lot of other people, famous people involved in this stuff.
I know I keep pausing it. Yeah, Eminem called him a rapper without a P in one of his songs. Honestly, how he thought of that bar, like, that's going down as the best bar in history. If anyone doesn't know, let me just pull it up because it's just too good for you to not see. Eminem P. Diddy lyrics. Here we go. No, that's... I mean, Eminem's been dissing Diddy for years. Even after what's his face? Machine Gun Kelly went after him because, of course, Machine Gun Kelly was part of Diddy's kind of like label. Here we go. So, in the song Fuel, he sings, "I'm like an raper. Got so many essays. Wait, did he just spell the word rapper and leave out a P, did he?" And then as he says it, obviously he says, like, didn't leave out the P, did he? Like, P. Diddy. Oh, it's just so good, man. It's so good. Goated. That man is the GOAT. Diddy's not eating because he's worried about being poisoned. I think being poisoned's the least of his concerns. I mean, you know it's bad when the least of your concerns is that. I'm also so excited for 50 Cent's documentary. I think it's called Did He Do It? Or something like that. So 50 Cent's just sold the rights to that to Netflix, and they're producing it right now. And I think 50 Cent is the lead producer on it. I mean, 50 Cent and P. Diddy have got a lot of history as well, so, you know, 50 Cent is just making the most of this opportunity. Don't blame him.
This could get massively bigger very quickly.
Well, the thing is, so many people knew a lot of things. So, like 50 Cent, for example, was very open about his disdain for Puff Daddy, and he used to call him gay all the time. You know, he used to rap about it. Eminem has lyrics in some of his music about P. Diddy being a raper, for example. There's so many people in the industry. Nicki Minaj, for example, certainly knew some things, particularly about Meek Mill's relationship with P. Diddy. If anyone's heard that horrible tape, you'll know what I'm talking about. So there are these high-profile celebrities that certainly saw things, and the question is, how do we incentivize them to speak? Because if they would come forward, then actually, even the other powerful people in the background that are hiding wouldn't be able to hide for much longer. But the question is, how did they do that? How did they incentivize the people who saw things to come forward?
And it might be a complete coincidence, Vinny, but we're already seeing people like Usher and Pink, who were friendly with Diddy Combs. They've deleted a lot of their social media. We don't know why, but it could be coincidence. It looks very like it's not a coincidence.
There's also a lot of stuff with a young Justin Bieber circulating around the internet. Now, how real it is, I don't know. The problem is with like the power of AI and no context, is people just share things without any context, and they'll be like, look, Justin Bieber's referencing this in his song about P. Diddy. He was trying to tell us all along. But the song's like about a completely different topic. So it's one of those ones. We want justice. 100% we do. Is it true that he's sharing a cell with Sam Bankman-Fried? I don't know. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure.
What do you make of the scandal?
Well, Piers, being in the entertainment industry, I left the military, went to Hollywood, acting, and all this whole it's a cult. And I love that she brought up Epstein and how he's apparently dead. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's in prison for 20 some odd years, I guess. Where are all the customers?
Yep.
Where are all the people that were with these girls? You know what I mean, Piers? Where are all the victims? Where are all these people? Not one customer. I know Prince. Andrew? He was obviously, he was there. He was, with the underage girl. And what was his punishment? I think the Queen, when she was alive, she just relieved him of his royal duties. He couldn't be out in public. But I've seen it firsthand, Piers. These people with this power.
Prince Andrew's another one that should be taken accountable. Like that was the one time I strongly despised the Queen's actions. I'm not a royalist or anything. I think the royal family's cool and that, but when she did that, I was like, nah, this guy, man. I don't care if he's your son. If it was my son and I found out my son was doing that, yes, I would be absolutely devastated. But ultimately, right is right, wrong is wrong. And I know it would be very difficult to put yourself in that kind of a position for your kid, but at the same time, Prince Andrew, man, he should have gone down.
Power and this level of influence, they go out with impunity as if they're never going to get caught. All the celebrities love them, and they all knew. Piers, Hollywood's not a big town. The entertainment industry, it's not a big town. Everybody knows who Diddy was. Everybody knows who Harvey Weinstein was, Piers, and everybody knew Epstein and all these people were, and nobody ever said nothing. You have people like Michelle Obama, Barack, everybody praising them. Harvey Weinstein, these people were such great people. All the parties, all the things that people went to, Piers, everybody knew. The recording and the cameras, that's a whole different story together. People claim that Epstein was a part of Mossad and recording and blackmailing people. Diddy, imagine how many people are panicking right now that he did it. But one of the main things, Piers, that pissed me off the most is the Usher and the Justin Bieber situation.
Oh my God.
He was on Howard Stern. Usher was on, I believe it was Howard Stern a while ago, and he explained that he went to Puffy's flavor camp at 14 years old. His parents dropped him off with Diddy, and he saw stuff that he said he couldn't believe. 14 years old, Piers, okay? And God knows what he did with him. There's stories about
Justin
him.
Bieber
There's videos where he said...
Usher, after having seen that, he also sent Justin Bieber there.
Great point. And if the rumors are true, Piers, he brings up Justin Bieber, and Justin Bieber has looked like he has been through hell. He was seen with Diddy a couple months ago, and Diddy's patting him down for a while. These people, Piers, are disgusting. They're evil. Thank God Justin Bieber has found God. If he didn't find God, I don't think we'd have him. These people are predators. They're disgusting human beings. It's a cult, Piers, and I hope to God that they find God, because the end game for people like that, Piers, is not good.
Okay, Jason, you know Diddy. You've been at some of these parties.
What's the chat saying? The man doesn't sweat, though. We're talking about Prince Andrew here. He says whilst profusely sweating. Also, does anyone actually believe that a royal went to a Pizza Express? A royal. I'm not being funny, right? But the royals are not just rocking up in their Rolls Royces and their Bentleys and their, 3-piece tuxes and suits to go after a hard day of whatever it is the royals do and enjoy a Pizza Express while profusely not sweating. Like, come on, man. The story was so cock and bull.
Does what you're reading now shock you, or was it a very wild scene?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, I want to be very clear on the conflation between going to a Diddy party and then going to Diddy After Dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are two very different things.
I said yesterday on a program that, it's like you pass by the door and see a party in an apartment, you go in, you have a drink, and then you go home and realize Jeffrey Dahmer was eating and killing people. People that went to a Diddy party, like Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore, Beyonce, Jay-Z, I don't know if they were at Diddy After Dark when people were getting sprayed down with baby oil. What I will say is that, you've heard a lot of things about Diddy over the years, blowing up cars, harassing people, threatening people, having people killed, allegedly, all allegations. But I think Esther made the most important point that all of us are just in the culture figuring out this crisis is where were all the people who were booking flights, booking hotels, driving people to rooms, knowing what was happening? Why is he in there by himself? Why are nobody speaking out? Why is Usher and Justin Bieber not condemning these rumors? Where is Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Yes,
people
where are they?
watching this train. People are watching this train wreck happen and just trying not to have the conductor call their name, and that's the problem. And see, the problem that I have is that while we all enjoy the fruit of the industry, if you're eating poisonous fruit, then you need to be a part of that tree that's on its way down too. And the problem with being...
This man is speaking facts. Like, obviously we've had some... Out of all of it, this guy is speaking the most facts out of all of it. Like, he's spot on with everything he's saying. And, it's bad because we've got this whole situation where, like, where are these people? I can guarantee these people are sat at home sweating. Not Prince Andrew, because, he doesn't sweat. But these people are sweating, just waiting for the phone call that, like, Diddy's ratted them out. Or the police have got hold of their logs, or the FBI or whoever's investigating it. They're got a hold of the logs and they've seen who's gone in, who's gone out, and they're probably just like, oh, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet? It's this guy, man. He's amazing.
Castrated in public right now, which is what is happening to Diddy, no pun intended, is that he's not given his due process. So on one hand, you're like, let it go through the process. But on the other hand, we have, the energy that the young man just had before me, that they know that this is happening in the industry that is not regulated or not controlled. And who's it going to happen to next?
Yeah. Well, I want to bring in Lord Jamar, American rapper and DJ.
Before we get on to that, I've just seen the hotel that is responsible for being bought off on the Cassie tape. I agree. To be bought off for, what is it, $30,000 or something ridiculous like that. Nah. You're part of the problem. If you're going to get bought off, you're part of the problem. Like, nobody should be bought off. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
Someone who knows Diddy Combs well, been again at some of these parties. Lord Jamar, first of all, your reaction to the sheer scale of charges against Diddy. Are you as stunned as everybody else by this?
Not really, to be honest.
That says it all. Say no more. We can kick this guy off the panel. He said all he needs to say.
I want to reiterate what Jason said about the regular Diddy parties and the Diddy After Dark. I've been to regular Diddy parties, like in clubs, the PG version. Never been to anything in his home or anything like that, or any After Dark type of stuff. But I'm not really surprised. I've heard rumors about this guy for years.
Yeah, I mean, there were these supposed freak-offs, they were called. These are the other parties that you guys are alluding to, where he distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, so illegal drugs, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant at these freak-offs. The police raided Diddy's house. They found narcotics, 3 AR-15 guns with defaced serial numbers, ammunition, a drum magazine, evidence aligning more, again, with the freak-offs. They found 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. And again, the indictment alleges that Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in the freak-offs.
Again, apparently these freak-offs would last days, according to some people. And, you know, they were so bad that people would get put on, like, IV drips afterwards to just rehydrate and pump out the drugs from their system. Because it would just go on for so bad. It's just wild.
I mean, Lord Jamar, it all sounds pretty horrific, what was going on to these women at the freak-offs. Were they going there with their eyes wide open to what was going to be happening? Were they caught up in some depravity which only became clear when they got through the door? What do you think was happening here?
I mean, I can only imagine. Like I said, I wasn't there. I think it was probably a combination of the two. Some women went there thinking, oh, you know, we're going to have a freak off. But some of them may have gone there innocently thinking, oh, I'm just going to be around, you know, famous people showing puffy combs. And then he's like, here, have a sip of this. And she doesn't know.
Piers, let me give you some context. Let me give you some context, because I'm going to just cut straight to it. I have been to the house parties where there have been extra police, or not police, but maybe off-duty police working in security, armed security, shutting down the entire street because there are so many people trying to get in the home. Think about it. Beyonce's on the other side of the gate. Jay-Z's on the other side of the gate. Every major celebrity, the Kardashians, on the other side of the gate. People are trying to get in that party. The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party. That is the one thing that I thought was odd, because, you know, I came one time with my security and no other security other than Diddy's security is allowed to be inside the building. I mean, I saw Jay-Z and T.D. Jakes in there. Every major celebrity you can think of who may or may not get along may be on the other side of that gate with no security. And so now as you see this unfold, my wonder is, well, why weren't people able to have their protection with them when they were in the room? But the one thing I
mean, it makes sense now, I suppose. Apparently, if other celebs are higher than Beyonce, Diddy would unalive them. Oh my God. I mean, Beyonce is, like, well, maybe that's why she's at the top. But why was Beyonce so special? Is it because of Jay-Z? Is it because, was he so intertwined within this, allegedly, that, you know, she kind of got that royalty kind of treatment? I don't know. I think they pretended to be bought off because the copy, because she got the copy from them anyway. Maybe. What about Will Smith's wife saying that Will and Puff Daddy had a freak off? What, is that Jada Pinkett Smith? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I need to look into that. If your own security is not allowed to get in, how did they not consider it a red flag? I agree. What about the baby oil? A side effect of ingesting is aspiration pneumonia. Oh my God. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that at all.
I will add that, you know, people don't want to talk about is Diddy is not the only person that has these parties where they have people wrangling a bunch of women and there's nobody carding at the door. There's no regulation, right? And the reason is because these guys want to have a bunch of women around. And what happens when you mix that with a bunch of liquor and other things, when the regular party goes home, what happens after everybody's gone?
Yeah, Bruce,
this is different.
Well, let me, Bruce, I want to just put to you the defense from Diddy's lawyer, Mr. Agnifilio. He maintained there's no coercion and no crime. He's not afraid of the charges. And he said he believed that Combs was the target of an unjust prosecution. What's your response to that?
Well, one of the things that we talked about, the people who arranged the flights, the people who arranged this and that, all the people in the chain, those are all going to be witnesses against Diddy. We'll start there. Second of all, he's got terabytes of video all over the place. Thirdly, they've got him on recording threatening a witness. trying to get them to not come forward and testify. They've got video of him beating a woman, dragging her through, Cassie, dragging her through a hotel. They've got giving IVs to recover. Just the amount, and the key wording here is force, fraud, and coercion. That's the key wording for the sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to have a party with a bunch of ladies and enjoy that. It's quite another thing to keep them there for days until their bruises heal.
Yeah, he's got a really good point there. He's got a really good point. God, I just don't even know. I mean, the worst part, I mean, there is no worst part to this. It's all utterly horrific. I've got a video going out literally after this of someone who was arrested back in 2017, I want to say. I can't remember. I filmed it this morning. And this morning was a long time ago. And he basically said within his interview, he was like warning people about the Diddy situation. And it was really like, I mean, back then, people were like, well, what were you talking about? P. Diddy? Puff Daddy? Like, no, that's just P. Diddy. Come on, we're not here to talk about that. But now it's resurfaced. People are like, we should have listened. It's really bad. Jaden Smith was left at Diddy. Oh my God! So Jaden Smith was even left at a Diddy camp. There's been rumors for years that Will is gay. Oh my God. MKO, I read somewhere that she's faking to protect herself. What's that? Oh, Wendy Williams. Oh my God, man. This whole thing. This is all sparked by one man, by the way. A lot of people, but, at the kind of peak of it all, one man. No one should have this level of popularity. I mean, popularity's fine, but the problem with that came power, influence, and money. No one should have the amount of power that Diddy had, nor the influence, nor the ability to do the things that he allegedly did. No wonder he emancipated from his parents. Well, we need to see if Bruce Rivers' grandma went to a Diddy party. I'm not sure who that is. Sorry.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a freak off, as it's defined in the indictment, isn't just a party.
No.
It is force, it's fraud, it's coercion, and you're going to see that there won't be a defense to it. His lawyers will take as much money as they possibly can out of him, but the case really will speak for itself.
Yeah,
apparently this was happening to men too.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, Lord Jamal. I mean, there have been lots of wild conspiracy theories. Maybe some of them aren't so wild, but there was one of the big ones is that Diddy was secretly gay. Do you think that could be true?
Which is not a crime if he is or was.
Yeah,
gay, right?
exactly.
He has the right.
You're missing my point, Jason.
But I mean the conflate.
Jason. The point I'm making is Lord Jamar said that also men were abused and stuff. It only plays into the context of what Lord Jamar just said, is the sense that if Diddy turned out actually to be gay or bisexual, then the victims here are not just women necessarily. They could also include men. Is that what you're saying, Lord Jamar?
And I'm just saying, it's definitely not a crime for whatever his proclivity may be. But if you're making people do things against their will or hanging things over their head in order to, try to trade, little quid pro quo, that's not cool. When people use their power to try to manipulate certain situations.
That's the coercion.
Yeah, especially sexually. And it's not cool. And especially if you're trying to do this to men that wouldn't normally engage in this type of...
I think there's something to be said about
buying in male prostitutes.
In my opinion, regardless of whether it was a male or a female that were being forced into these situations, regardless of whether it was something they typically did or didn't do, to me, that's equally as bad. Right, because the women were treated in the same way as the men were. So in my opinion, that's a level playing field. I don't think that the men should have like a, like this whole, like the women were expected to do that and the men weren't kind of thing. Because ultimately, like, yes, he did force straight men to allegedly do these things. But at the same time, who's to say that he didn't force a gay woman to do something with a straight man, It's a very hazy area, that one. During autopsy, lung fluid, particularly in aspirate pneumonia, is sampled. Any evidence of oil or fragrance would have been found and detailed in an autopsy report. Kim died of lobular pneumonia. Now, nom de plume. What is lobular pneumonia? Let me just have a quick Google of that so I'm educated. Lobular pneumonia. Right. Oh, is it lobar pneumonia? Acute exudative inflammation of the entire lobe. Is that the same thing? So it's basically like lungs. That mother was on an interview with an IV in her arms with Diddy. Oh my god. It's just so bad.
Institutes for sexual performance is against the law federally.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
But I also want to
finish,
start
Bruce,
seeing more people. I want to see more people arrested. Like, where were the bookers, the security, the transportation? Where are the assistants, the chief of staff, the chefs cooking food, people cleaning up the room? I need everybody arrested.
Well, I think, surely
those are the
Diddy.
snitches.
If the case against Diddy is so overwhelming, I can quite believe these reports that are coming out that he's considering turning on everyone. He'll have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
He knows if he doesn't, he's going to prison.
That's what I was saying. Like, by this point, what's he got to lose? He's going to prison regardless. The amount of time might indicate, or might be, he might get more luxuries in prison if he cooperates. He might get a better deal. He might get, I don't know. I don't know how it works. But by this point, what's he got to lose? I'd just spill the tea.
The rest of his life.
I mean, he's the top dog. He won't be able to cooperate against.
Hang on one second, Bruce, you go first.
He won't be able to cooperate against anybody. He is the top dog.
Yeah, but surely he could still do some kind of deal, couldn't he?
No.
I don't think so.
No?
He's too big a fish. I will say this though. I think the anti sort of gay sentiment in the hip hop industry really did, I think, may have fueled the fact that he was so undercover. Like you said, it's not illegal to be gay. You can have whatever.
But was he gay? I mean, I don't care either way.
It doesn't make a difference. But
do we actually know if he was gay?
I'm saying this in the context of his victims, his male victims. So, for example, Cassie coming out. We know that they were together for almost a decade. We know that she was seen with him at many high-profile events and all of that. So she coming out as a victim of domestic violence is not unheard of. But if you have an up-and-coming rapper, for example, who for some reason his career just didn't take off, who comes out and says, I was abused, I was raped, I was blackmailed by P. Diddy, that's very different because of the industry that they're operating in. How does that person get their career back?
Well, also,
who believes them? Like, in this situation, right, let's say an up-and-coming rapper, is at a make or break point in their career. And Diddy talks about this, and this rapper refuses to do whatever Diddy says that they have to do. Suddenly their career drops dead. And then they come out and say, Diddy's this, Diddy's that, he wanted me to do these things for him and he would make my career. Who's going to believe him? Before all of this came out, let's take the clock back 12 months and say this happened, even 24 months and say this happened. That rapper would be looked at as someone who was just salty. They just didn't make it. They, this person, like that never happened. Diddy never did that. They're just really like, they're bitter because that did. Exactly. Rachel makes a great point. Well, no one believes Cassie initially. Exactly. This is the thing. And it's the same with someone like, let's say Jimmy Savile, for example. When he was alive, no one came out to talk about it because he had too much power, he had too much influence, no one would believe them. they would be laughed off the face of the earth, and then that person has just got to live with what happened to them, knowing that no one believes them. But then after he passed away, people started to take notice and listen. You know, it's just absolutely, I don't know, man.
You mentioned Cassie Ventura there. To me, one of the most significant moments in this whole scandal was quite early on when that video got leaked to CNN. We've got a clip of this, which shows him just being unbelievably, grotesquely violent to her. At the time of this, we invited Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Roger Bond, to give his thoughts on the video and Diddy's subsequent apology. But was that indicative of Diddy's general behavior towards women?
In my light, I would say yes.
I remember this episode. If you haven't seen this, I highly recommend you go and check this out, because this is Diddy's ex-bodyguard. He really does kind of like spill the tea on a lot of things. Obviously, there's not a lot that he talks about, but he talks about a lot of things.
In my light, I would say yes. It didn't surprise me when I saw it, because I've seen things to this nature before. I've gotten in between things of this nature before. And this was back in 2012. So that's why I was so adamant on what I said yesterday after he posted that apology, because it comes a time where it's like, you can't just say anything you want to say and think that people going to accept it.
That apology from Diddy, by the way, if anyone remembers that after Cassie's video came out, just the worst apology in human history. Like, the guy wasn't sorry because of what he did. If he was sorry for what he did, he would have come out a long time ago. He was sorry because he got caught, ultimately, and you know, that's always the way with these high-profile people. They're not sorry at the time, but they're sorry 100% sorry when they've been caught and their reputations are on the line. And, you know, there's some serious allegations flying around. Yeah, it's just the BS apology, 100%. It was the worst apology I've ever seen.
See, Vinny, when I saw that video, I don't know about you, but I watched it in utter horror, that he would do that in a hotel, in a public part of the hotel too. It wasn't in one of the rooms. It was so horrible, so violent. I then thought, well, you know what? I believe this guy's capable.
Yeah, Rachel, you're spot on. I'm sorry, but kind of apology. Like, it screamed of, I'm sorry that that's how you received it. Not like an accountability apology where it's like, I'm sorry for my actions. This is what I did to fix it. It was I'm sorry that you're upset that I did something wrong. It's you're the problem. It's your fault that, you know, I'm in this position right now. It's your fault. Proper, like, oh, man, don't give me started.
Capable of pretty much anything. You know, anyone that would treat his girlfriend like that, nothing would surprise me. So these charges didn't really shock me, because I thought, well, I've seen what he's capable of. We all have.
Yeah.
Oh, Piers, what was even more shocking is we saw the tape. It was disgusting. It was disturbing. And what happened, Piers? Nothing. Statute of limitation or whatever it is. We saw him beat the hell out of this poor girl, dragging her in the hallway. And then what? She brings him to court. He gives her money because rich people could get away with anything, Piers. And then that was it. We wiped our hands with it. And it's ridiculous, Piers, because and on the gay rumors, nobody cares, Piers. But when there's smoke, there's fire. And when they find 1,000 bottles of baby oil and 500 dildos, there's some suspect activity happening, Piers. And when it comes to the recording, people forget he had cameras everywhere, Piers. You know why some of these employees weren't talking? Who knows what footage he had on all these people? Same with Epstein. Maybe you weren't gay, but maybe you were there. You had a little potion. You pass out, and then they record you taking advantage of you, and then they have that dirt on you forever, Piers. Kim Porter, God rest her soul, his partner, who he has a child with, she wrote a tell-all book, but before it came out, she mysteriously died of pneumonia.
At 47.
And allegedly her friend said that he had recordings of an 18-year-old famous pop star having sex with him. Okay, and everybody could just assume what that is, Piers. But if you have all these people and everybody's talking about it, the fact that we as a society let him see with our eyes, Cassie being dragged and beaten like a rag doll, and we got mad for a week, and then we forgot about it, Piers, because you know what? He paid her millions. That is the problem with our society, is that money talks and bullshit walks. We should have held him accountable. I'm shocked that her family didn't go after him, Piers, because I know you're a father. I'm not a father, but I have nieces and nephews. If that was my daughter and I saw that on camera, it would have been a wrap for Diddy, plain and simple, Piers. So I think we have to hold these people accountable.
Jason?
But that's the point right there. And that energy is somebody who's been molested, who survived molest, right? There's no money that you can pay me to feel good about the experience, to pay my family to forget about the experience. And I think the problem happening right now, at least in this country with entertainment, is that people are going for money grabs. So it is making it hard to decide what is, what isn't. And then there's so much around this case that you can't look at the video and not see a man beating a woman in a public hallway and make any excuse for that. But you also can't make excuse for the hotel taking $50,000 to cover it up. You can't make it like you can't understand how Diddy hired a trainer to train his girlfriend, who they say he was allegedly involved with, who then goes and dates, marries, and has a baby with the girlfriend. I mean, there's so many layers to this crazy story. Yeah. But I think the biggest issue to what he just said was that people have become apathetic with the abuse, with the narcissism, with the coercion, with the intimidation, and with the sex-crazed industry right now, that it's like just another blip on social media. And it is an epidemic that I think, as we go back to what Esther said earlier and what we started at the top of this broadcast, is that this is going to trail back to a lot of people that all of us are going to go, what? Who?
Yeah. And, you know, that's what people are hanging out for right now. People just want to know who was involved, where they were involved, how they were involved. And, you know, I think there's gonna be a lot of shocking names that are gonna come forward. You know, it's pretty crazy, but Rachel makes a good point here. They're all rotten for not basically the people that didn't come forward and knew about it. I agree. Knowing about it and doing nothing about it. You know, safeguarding is everyone's problem. That's the first thing you're taught when you do your safeguarding training, right? Safeguarding is everyone's problem, regardless of whether you're in work, out of work, you know, whether you're safeguard trained or not. It doesn't matter. If you see something that's wrong, it's your duty to report it. And if, you know, there's these people like come forward, let's say, you know, because we've already spoken about it, let's say Jay-Z and Beyonce are somehow involved. Jay-Z's involved, Beyonce's aware of it, but isn't involved, allegedly. Let's just say, for hypothetical sake. You know, Beyonce being aware of it, in my opinion, is just as bad as Jay-Z being involved with it. Because if she's aware of it and didn't know anything, or didn't do anything about it, sorry, I feel like you're just as, like, you know, you should be held just as accountable as the people that were involved. Because you knew about it. Why didn't you do anything about it? Why didn't you speak out? It's one of those situations. Now, I'm not saying that Jay-Z and Beyonce are involved. Allegedly, they could be in some capacity, but right now, P. Diddy. And that's how I stop myself from getting sued.
When and sadly, some of your favorite stars are going to be the face of that.
I mean, I think on the point that society's morality has been muddled. People like Diddy being made an example of and being put away in prison for, I don't know, 300 years, for me, it's not enough. People like Epstein, people like Harvey Weinstein, people like P. Diddy, if he's found guilty, should get the death penalty. I can't think of anything worse than the things he's been charged with. And to just put him in a prison and give him 3 square meals a day, for me, I don't think is good enough. There is nothing worse than systemically taking advantage of people, drugging them, assaulting them.
Right. This is I might cause controversy here. So, you know, strap yourselves in. But I think the death penalty is too good of a punishment. Now, a lot of people are like, well, how can you say that? Death is the ultimate form of punishment, right? And, you know, I'm not disagreeing with that. But what do people learn? Or where's the punishment in, like, you know, someone... Basically, if you end someone's life or you give them a life sentence... right? One of those two. I feel like serving a life sentence would be more punishing than, you know, being taken, or your life being taken, because ultimately, like, it's going to be long. If you take a lifelong prison sentence, it's going to be long. It's going to be drawn out. You're not going to enjoy yourself. You're not going to get the luxuries of your life, right? And you're just going to be confined to a box, given free time, and you're going to be, all the rest of it. And I feel like that is more punishing. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to upset a lot of people by saying that, but that's just my opinion. I feel like if you give Diddy the death penalty in this instance, it's kind of just a way out, like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Open the floor to the comments down below. Exactly. He doesn't suffer if he's dead. It's over for him. I agree. It's over for him, and then therefore there is no punishment after that. Like, the world just moves on without Diddy in it. But where's the punishment for Diddy? Like, ultimately, yes, his life has been taken, but I don't think that there's a punishment there. Like, because out of the two of those things, the more punishing thing would be putting him through, let's say he lives for another 40 years. 40 years of just boredom, being forced to do what he's being told to do, which is something that he's going to really struggle with if this is true, because he spent his entire life telling people what to do and everybody listening to him. That's going to be so much more punishing. That's just my opinion. Anyway, let's crack on.
Dragging Cassie through a hotel hallway brazenly, like you said, like she was a ragdoll. What do you have to do to lose your life? How much do you have to degrade other people? How much do you have to take away their freedom for you to actually lose their life? Someone like P. Diddy, I'm sorry, it should be the guillotine. There is no amount of 30, 40, 50 years that can ever make up for what he's put people through. And I think that's a small consolation, that he doesn't get to live his days out and reflect on how much he's been a bad boy. No pun.
Lord Jamar.
Right, I'm going to stop this there because I'm encroaching on the hour mark of this live stream. You guys know I like to just chill out for an hour, but I don't want to get too involved in it and then not be able to finish it. So if you want to watch the rest of it, I think it's Piers Morgan's most latest video. So just go over to the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel. Oh, no, it's not. It's the one that came out 3 days ago. He's just uploaded another one, so it's not the most recent one. But I think obviously this is going to go on for a very long time now. We're not going to get hopefully the trial will be televised. I mean, it's high profile enough that they probably will televise, but it's going to be ropey. Allow the big boys in his cell and see how he likes a freaky party then. Yeah, true. I agree, but at the same time, our tax dollars have to support him for the rest of his life. Yeah, that's the caveat, isn't it? I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Unfortunately, there's no... Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from with that. Completely agree. Yep, I agree 100%. If they get the death penalty, it's over for them, and it isn't. It take away someone's freedom, especially someone like him. That'll drive him insane. Exactly, and I do think that that's more punishment. But then, like Lady Tammy says, you're kind of punishing the taxpayers because they're the ones that essentially have to end up supporting them. But anyway, I think that's a good point to leave. I mean, it's not a great point to leave off on, is it? We're talking about whether someone should have their life taken away. It's not a good point to end on, but you know what I'm trying to say. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm very intrigued, so I think this is going to spark a lot of debate. I know there's a lot of debate going on online about this. Thank you all so much for joining me on the stream, by the way. I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope I haven't been too boring. You've definitely kept me entertained. I didn't even realise that an hour had gone by. That's how much fun I've as much fun within the context of the situation as I can have. I don't enjoy listening to stuff like this, but I enjoy talking to you guys about stuff like this because ultimately this channel is all of ours. Anyway, I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening or day, regardless of where you are. And yeah, jump scare the hell out of that like button before you go. And until